I was filled with all the excitement and anticipation and pure white terror that every first-time parent feels. A lot of you know what I'm talking about, right? I mean, this is the first thing in your life you could really screw up that would matter, and there were no operating instructions. And the batteries were not included. And it's especially difficult as a guy because, I mean, women have this built-in social construct, right? There's baby showers, there's magazines, there's probably a 24-hour maternity channel. You have mothers and grandmothers and aunts and sisters and strangers will stop a pregnant woman at a bus stop and give them completely unsolicited information, right? Meanwhile, for a guy, even in these enlightened times, it's not much more than a wink, a nudge, and I'll see in 18 years. But amidst all the anxiety and doubt I was feeling, there was one thing I knew I was going to be good at, and that was singing my children to sleep at night. I knew how to do this. I had been putting people to sleep with my music for generations now. So confident was I that I had a plan. It was a great plan. I was going to introduce my kids to a huge swath of world music. I was going to sing them different songs every single night. And I was going to keep a log of what I sang for them every night, every song in order, set lists from bedtime. Not only that, this is true. I bought a big loose leaf binder because I was going to write down the lyrics to all the songs that I sang for them in order and put them in this loose leaf binder because I had been reading about the time my eldest was born, how people in half-sleep states retain an amazing amount of stimuli to which they're exposed. And I know this is true because I went to high school. And I figured that when my kids became parents themselves, I would present them with this book of songs that they didn't know that they knew, but that they knew. And then they would sing them to my grandchildren in order. And it was a really good plan, don't you think? Except that my kids, like your kids, wanted the same 4 lousy songs every night of their lives. And there was no changing the order. And there was no changing the words. No, Dad, my name is not in that song. The first one every night was Little Brown Jug, which concerned me. The second one, 365 days a year, was Deck the Halls with Boughs of Holly. The third one, even though we didn't own a television set, was the Mickey Mouse Club theme song, which concerned me more than Little Brown Jug. And the fourth one was this song. It's an old Woody Guthrie song, and it was always song number 4, and 10 seconds into this song every night, they were out. And you do not mess with that kind of magic. Well, Mike, I have 2 sons and 3 stepdaughters. And they're all kind of clustered around the age of 40. Some not quite, some older. And it's been a really long time since any one of them asked me to sing them to sleep at night. Their children are another story. I am the baby whisperer in our house. So I had not sung this song or even thought of it in decades. So it was quite a surprise about a dozen years ago when the U.S. Postal Service called me up and wanted to use my recording of this old Woody Guthrie song in their Christmas television commercials. And I thought, this is perfect. In the age of texting and email, Woody Guthrie and I are teaming up to promote letter writing. It works in Fitzgerald, apparently. But even though this commercial was very ubiquitous, for a couple of years, I just don't watch much television. And to tell you the truth, I never, ever saw this commercial. But one of the first people who saw it was my youngest son, who called me one November night from his dorm room at the University of North Carolina. He says, "Dad, I think I heard you on a television commercial." I said, "I am your father. What do you mean you think you heard me on a television commercial?" He said, "Well, I'm not sure. I was across the hall last night. We were watching Sports Center because, of course, across the hall, their dad pays for cable. And they broke to this commercial, and all of a sudden I hear this hammered dulcimer music, and I'm thinking, come on, what are the odds?" And I said, "And?" He said, "I don't know." I said, "What do you mean you don't know?" He said, "I fell asleep. I'm gonna wrap myself in paper, I'm gonna dab myself with glue, stick some stamps on the top of my head, I'm gonna mail myself to you. I'm gonna tie me in a little red string, I'm gonna tie blue ribbons too, climb up into my mailbox, I'm gonna mail myself to you." When you find me in your mailbox, cut the string and let me out. Wash the glue off of my fingers, stick some bubble gum in my mouth. Take me out of my wrapping paper, wash the stamps off of my head, pour me full of some ice cream soda, tuck me into a nice warm bed. I'm gonna wrap myself in paper, I'm gonna dab myself with glue, stick some stamps on the top of my head, I'm gonna mail myself to you. Friends, I'm going to do one more song, and then we're going to take the proverbial 15-minute intermission for 25 minutes. That will give you time to go back and sample some of the great coffees and nuts and cookies and such that are back there. You can get information about the Mount Diablo Unitarian Church. There's information over there. You can go out and catch some fresh air. You can visit with all the other people that you haven't seen since I was here last year. And you can, of course, visit the John McCutcheon Audio, Literary, and Video Boutique over here. If you've been to my shows before, it will come to you as absolutely no surprise that I have a new album this year. I always send my new releases out to all my brothers and sisters. My brother Kevin, he's a retired Marine. He called me up and says, "God, John, you're just like Mom, popping out a new one every year." Well, luckily, my mother did not have 44 children. It just seemed like it. So the latest album is with my buddy Tom Paxton, and I should let you in on a secret that Tom is going to join me on this tour next year. So maybe there'll be 2 old farts up on stage here next year if you'll have us. So you've heard a bunch of the songs, you'll hear more. The album is together. The trilogy of my pandemic era recordings, Cabin Fever, Bucket List, and Leap are over there, as well as a Pete Seeger tribute album, a Woody Guthrie, all kinds of stuff, more than you need to know. Also, I want to tell you about 2 things that are over there that are absolutely free. Every year, one in May and in June, I do songwriting camps in the mountains of western North Carolina. And May is full, but there are a few slots left in June. So if you might be interested, or you know someone who might be interested, there's a flyer over there, ticket, and it'll be, by Monday, it'll be full. But if you're interested, there's information over there. Also, those of you for whom you have not ticked off Alaska on your bucket list yet, I'm going to be doing a music cruise of Alaska this June. And it's going to be 7 days of music and the northern lights and whales and glaciers and fresh crab. And my wife is coming. My tour manager and his wife are coming. Some of my kids and my grandkids are coming. Some old dear friends are coming. And there's still some slots open. There's flyers over there. You know, when the pandemic hit, we musicians had to learn how to scratch that itch we had for playing for you all and how to pay our bills. And so we learned how to sing into camera lenses, and you all learned how to watch live concerts on your telephones, which is an indication enough to me of how much we missed this. And I thank you all for coming out. And one of the things I really missed in doing these online concerts is hearing you all sing. I really missed that. And I really missed singing with some of my favorite people in the world, two of whom are here tonight. Please welcome Sandy O and Pat Humphries, Emma's Revolution. See, this is how musicians see one another. We crash one another's shows.
We do. We thought when you said the old fart thing, that's when you were bringing us up.
And speaking of old farts.
Is this going to be good? Can we do this?
It's gonna be all right.
Let's see.
Maybe.
It's a little rock and roll, don't you think?
Am I gonna be on your?
How about if you get in the middle?
Should we? Okay.
And I can sing in here.
All right.
This is a carefully choreographed thing. You know, you can only take wireless technology so far. Much more better. Thunder and lightning gave voice to the night. Little lame child cried aloud in her fright. Hush, little babe, a story I will tell of a love that has vanquished the powers of hell. This is your part. Sweetness in the air and justice on the wind. Laughter in the house where the mourners have been. Deaf shall have music, blind have new eyes. Surrender to death, taken down by surprise. The poor, little lame children shall dance as they sing, and play with bears and the lions in the spring. Hallelujah, the great storm's over. Lift up your wings and fly. Hallelujah. let go of your fears. Lord loves his own and your mother is here. Babe fell asleep as the lantern did burn. Mother sang on till the bright return. Once more. Emma's Revolution. We'll see you in a few.
Out of the cold November sky, out of the distant dawn, and out of the heart of an angry man, where the frozen dreams are born, and out of the book of old-time tales, from the hills where the wind and the widow covering the yard and the rusted rails, I run before the storm. Putting the tired earth to sleep, covering up her dead, over the sea of the drifting deep, where the cold ones make their beds, and painting the road and the rooftops white, and out of your long and your restless light, out of a million miles of night, you shake your angry head at me. Sifting through the window cracks, piling on the floor, and filling in the miner's tracks on the way from the company store. The ringing of hands at the hobo's camp, the loss of a life to the cold and damp, the end of the day, the light of the lamp, and the howling at the door.
Well, you gassed her behind the wheel with your arm around your sweet one, your Oldsmobile, barreling down the boulevard. You're looking for the heart of Saturday night. You got paid on Friday, and your pockets are jingling, and you see the lights. Get all tingling 'cause you're cruising with a six. And you're looking for the heart of Saturday night. And you comb your hair, shave your face, trying to wipe out every trace of all the other days in the week. You know that this will be the Saturday you're reaching your peak, stopping on a red, you're going on the green, 'cause tonight'll be like nothing you've ever seen, and you're barreling down the boulevard. You're looking for the heart of Saturday night. Tell me, is it the crack of the pool balls, neon buzzing, telephones ringing, it's your second cousin? Is it the barmaid that's smiling in the corner of her eye, magic of the melancholy tearing your eye, makes it kind of quiver down in the core, 'cause you're dreaming of them Saturdays that came before, and now you're stumbling onto the heart of Saturday night. You gassed her up and you're behind the wheel with your arm around your sweet one, your Oldsmobile, barreling down the boulevard. You're looking for the heart of Saturday night. Is it the crack of the pool balls, neon buzzing, telephones ringing, it's your second cousin, and the barmaid is smiling from the corner of her eye, the magic of the melancholy tearing your eye, makes it kind of special down in the core, and you're dreaming of them Saturdays that came before. It's found you stumbling onto the heart of Saturday night. And you're stumbling onto the heart of Saturday night. Yes, I understand that every life must end. As we sit alone, I know someday we must go on. Oh, I'm a lucky man to count on both hands the ones I love. Some folks just have one, yeah, others they got none. Stay with me, oh, let's just breathe. list of my sins, never gonna let me win. Under everything, just another human being. Yeah, I don't wanna hurt. There's so much in this world to make me bleed. Stay with me, oh, all I see. Did I say that I need you? Did I say that I want you? Or if I didn't, I'm a fool, you see. No one knows this more than me. As I come clean, I wonder every day as I look upon your face. Everything you gave and nothing you would take on. Nothing you would take, everything you gave. Did I say that I need you? Oh, did I say that I want you? Oh, if I didn't, I'm a fool, you see. No one knows this more than me. As I come cleaner. Nothing you would take, everything you gave. Oh, hold me till I die, meet you on the other side.
Thoughts blow down empty roads, carried on the wind. Travel around the country, then return again. From a place standing still, feel them touch my soul. Does anybody make decisions of conscience anymore? Country, never surrender. Better keep believing. Have to keep you dreaming, thinking aloud. The wind blows through withered places, keep me wondering why. Time comes and goes and spirit never dies. You look into the heart of the land, then you have to choose whether the wealth you gain is worth the wealth you lose. Out of my country, never surrender. Better keep believing. Have to keep you dreaming, thinking aloud. holding on, another day gone by. Still the same old reasons why. Well, out here, you just might turn to dust and bone. Lose yourself, find yourself alone. Out of my country, never surrender. Better keep believing. Have to keep you dreaming, thinking aloud. Another day gone by.
In another younger day, I could dream the time away in the universe inside my room. And the world was really mine from June till September. And if it wasn't really so, I was lucky not to know, and I was lucky not to wonder why. Because the summertime is all that I remember. Summer flowers buzzing every night when I was young. In the gentle world my childlike senses knew. And the world was just my cousin, and the wind was just the tone in the voice my lonely moments listened to. And I look at me today
All right, everybody sit down. Had a request for this. I get off the bus and I can see my breath. The air's so cold you could freeze to death. Turn up my collar and the wind starts blowing. The sky turns gray and it begins snowing. Put down my hair, it's only 2 blocks more. Make it to my house and then I open the door. Smells like winter in our house. Smells like winter in our house. Oh, it smells like winter in our house. It smells like soup. This may be the simplest chorus I have ever written. Any damn fool can be complicated. In fact, it is so simple. You have heard it exactly once, and you know it. I'll prove it to you. Smells like winter in our house. Repeat that. Smells like winter in our... A little higher now. Smells like winter in our house. Smells like soup. When my dad was a kid in my grandma's home, she taught him how to start with the old soup bone. You put the water, carrots, celery, and onions in the pot. Only takes a little of whatever you got. There ain't no way to hurry it, my grandma would remind. Anything worth waiting for is gonna take time. Smells like winter in our house. Smells like winter in our house. Oh, it smells like winter in our house. It smells like soup. All day long I hear it bubbling in the pot. Sneak up to the lid, be careful, it's hot. Pick up the corner and I take a little sniff, and then I close my eyes and take a great big whiff. Go and get a tablespoon to steal a little taste. I got a big soup smile all over my face. Smells like winter in our house. You sing it. Oh, it smells like winter in our house. It smells like bean soup, chicken soup with macaroni, cream of broccoli, minestrone, potato soup, tomato soup, chowder made of clam, miso soup and mushroom soup, and split you with ham, Bolivian scallion, tomato guy with lemongrass, matzo ball, chili bean, cream of asparagus. It doesn't ever matter, let the cold winds blow, the rivers freeze. There's 3 feet of snow from my dad and from my grandma. So what I got, they put a whole lot of love in that old black pot. In my mind I see a little boy a distant winter day, standing in my door and I can hear him say, smells like winter in our house. Smells like winter in our house. Oh, it smells like winter in our house. Smells like winter in our house. You sing it. Oh, it smells like winter in our house. It smells like soup. 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 I had a request for this one too. When I came back from Australia on March 16th, 2020, it was a real different country than I left. And being as I had been overseas for 4 weeks, and then I've been 24 hours on a tubular Petri dish getting back here, the only responsible thing really to do was to quarantine myself. So accompanied by my faithful hound, Mother Maybell, we went up to a little cabin in the North Georgia mountains that my wife and I have. And for 3 weeks I sat there and wrote, because I didn't have anything else to do. And this is the last song I brought up there. In these times, each day feels like the next. But just tonight, my old friend Richard sent a tearful text. I could see his sorrow on the screen, wondering if I heard the news tonight that John Prine died. Oh, he seemed to pluck his songs out of thin air. They told of tiny triumphs and lives filled with despair, complex in their simplicity, so honest and so true, just like every writer wished they could do. There's an angel from Montgomery finally taken wing, place up there called paradise, where even Sam Stone sings. All the losers, lovers, loners have gathered round the throne, and a mighty choir to welcome John Prine home. I remember a night, a bar in Cambridge town. The band took a break. John and I shut the whole place down. It was Stevie Goodman's birthday, just 8 years since he died. Oh, we sang, drank, and remembered. We laughed, and then we cried, just like tonight when I heard John Prine died. There's an angel from Montgomery that's finally taken wing, place up there called paradise, where even Sam Stone sings. All the losers, lovers, loners gather round the throne in a mighty choir to welcome John Prine home. Tonight I'm sitting here thinking about the stories that we tell, and the blessed few who really do make heaven out of hell. So say hello to Stevie, I ain't ready for you yet. And in the meantime, I know you'll enjoy that 9 Mile cigarette. There's an angel from Montgomery that's finally taken wing, a place up there called paradise, where even Sam Stone sings. All the losers, lovers, loners gather round the throne in a mighty choir to welcome John Prine home. All the losers, lovers, loners gathered round the throne in a mighty choir to welcome John Prine home. And I also got a request for this, which seems appropriate because they're kind of linked. I mean, I got a really, really awkward phone call from an old friend when he got the album Cabin Fever that song was on, and all I could think of when I hung up the phone is, I got to write about this. It's nice to get your call the other day. All the complimentary things about my songs you had to say. How you couldn't keep from crying at the one about John Prine. How it was such a lovely eulogy. And then you wondered what you meant to be. Huh. Oh, I'll write you a great song when you're dead. You'll be embarrassed by the praises that I'll heap upon your head. Well, I know that you won't care, 'cause in fact, you won't be there. And each listener will weep and nod their heads when they hear the song I sing when you are dead. Promise I'll start when I get the news. Oh, it might be a solemn dirge or perhaps a talking blues. Oh, it'll be a catchy song, everyone will sing along. And they'll love you without even knowing why. When they hear the song I write the day you die. Yes, I'll write you a great song when you're dead. You'll be embarrassed by the praises that I'll heap upon your head. Well, I know that you won't care, 'cause in fact, this is sing-along now. And each listener will weep and nod their head when they hear the song I sing when you are dead. Oh, I really have to make this one admission. This is my very first pre-mortem song commission. When you shuffle off this mortal coil, sleep the other side of the soil. Rest in peace, knowing I will be composing. You're gonna make me sing the rest of this, aren't you? At the same time as you are decomposing. Some will have an epitaph in stone on a building or a marker made of granite. Seems to me a legacy is earned, not owned. Just seems a bit contrived to have to plan it. I promise I'll sit down when you have croaked and contemplate the feelings that your passing has evoked. When your time is toast, you at last give up the ghost. They'll be singing as they lower down your coffin, a song that's sure to be requested often. Oh, I'll write you a great song when you're dead. You'll be embarrassed by the praises that I'll heap upon your head. But I know that you won't care, 'cause in fact, each listener will weep and nod their heads when they hear the song I sing when you are dead. That was Revolution. Come on back up here.
Really? You're going to make us follow that?
Yeah. Because you know I will write you a song, Pat. Well, this is a song we have sung many times together.
Is it a song we sang in Sacramento when you got filmed for the documentary being made about us?
Yeah. It's funny. There's a documentary being made about these two, and I'm in it. I don't know why. Probably because I've known Pat since she was since the rocks were soft. And but this is but on your seats was a little flyer about a big concert that they're going to be doing at the Freight, and it's going to be filmed as part. You could be movie stars. you could be in a movie. And it's a Wednesday night, you know? You're all retired. Every night is Saturday night.
And we have some lovely special guests joining us.
Yeah,
Holly Near.
Holly Near, our good friend, is going
Chris
to be
Matthews.
Chris Matthews, who's going to be here later. She's fabulous.
Some folks you might not know yet, but you'll know them and you'll love them. Reggie Harris. I don't know if you know
Oh,
him now. That
Reggie's.
was a Reggie Harris chord. I was like, that's such a great chord.
Yeah. Anyway, don't mind us. We haven't seen one another in a while. Anyway, I wrote this song. As I said, I live in Georgia. When the state next door passed HB 2, known more commonly as the bathroom bill, and I happened to be in North Carolina shortly thereafter, and my brother, the one who's the retired Marine, had a cookout, and there was a guy there who was a cop, and I said, "What do you think about this bill?" And he said, "They don't pay me enough." And my youngest son, went to the University of North Carolina as an out-of-state student. So I figured I have paid for the right to say anything I want to about the state of North Carolina. Remember back, I was 8 or 9 at my grandma's house in the summertime. Every night at 6, I hear her sweet, slow drawl. Y'all come in. Y'all means all. I might not like you. You might not like me. Sometimes that's just the way things are gonna be. But still I'll catch you if you should fall. 'Cause where I come from, y'all means all. Blood is blood and bone is bone. Ain't no difference I can recall that makes a difference. It all means all. Well, it's a southern thing. It's simple etiquette. You treat folks kindly, but sometimes folks forget. They can act plumb mean, Neanderthal, like my grandma said. It all means all. Blood is blood and bone is bone. Kin is kin and home is home. There ain't no difference I can recall that makes a difference. I've heard it said round these parts, we've got our troubles, but we've got hearts. And at this table there is a chair where you're always welcome. Set yourself down there. We are not perfect, but we know it's true. We're all God's children. We are just me and you. One day soon we'll hear the call. Y'all come in. Y'all means all. Blood is blood, bone is bone. Kin is kin and home is home. And there ain't no difference I can't recall that makes a difference. Y'all means all. in stocks or your overalls. Bless your hearts. It all means Now here's a song we've only sung once. And here's a song we have never sung before.
That's not stopping us.
A number of years back, I did a project entitled Mightier Than the Sword, in which I wrote songs with some of my favorite authors, people like Wendell Berry and Barbara Kingsolver and Rita Dove. And one of the authors was a wonderful old friend of mine named Lee Smith. If you don't know Lee's work, you need to learn about it. Start with her book, Fair and Tender Ladies. Yes, it's named after the old folk song. Lee is from Grundy, Virginia, right in the southwest Virginia coal fields. And she and I have been pals for years. And she has a little trio of writers and musicians, she and Alice Gerard, and I can't remember who the third one was, but they call themselves the Good Old Girls. And so Lee and I did write a song for this album, but then I told Lee that she needed a theme song for the Good Old Girls, so being as I can't be in the band, I thought I'd write him a song. Everyone knew one or two back there in your old high school. The one who bucked at every rule, talking about the good old girls. Kind of girl you just can't forget, with a bottle of beer and a cigarette. She'll kick the ass of teacher's pet, talking about the good old girls. Good old girls are so fine, got pure devilment on their mind. Long afternoon and a bottle of wine, talking about the good old girls. Good old girls, good old girls, talking about the good old girls. There's old-time music in the air, she's the very first one out of her chair. Pete Preacher scowling, she don't care, talking about the good old girls. Feeling there in every crowd, she's living large and laughing loud. She'll make you mad, make you proud, talking about the good old girls. Good old girls, they're so fine, got pure devilment on their mind. Long afternoon and a bottle of wine, talking about the good old girls. Good old girls, good old girls, talking about the good old girls. Her turn, her talk, her hide, her tough. Life with her could get plumb rough. She might love you if you're woman enough. Talking about the good old girls. Ain't no arguing with her. No arguing with her because there ain't no records for what she does. What she is, she always was. Talking about the good old girls. You can see them when they're old as well. Because I'm a story still to tell. Full and fierce, fun as hell. Talking about the good old girls. Good old girls are so fine. Got pure devilment on their mind. Long afternoon and a bottle of wine. Talking about the good old girls. Good old girls. Good old girls. Talking about the good old girls. Emma's Revolution. Yeah. Well, as long as I got the banjo out here. I'm gonna sing you the shortest song that Paxton and I ever wrote. bunch of the guys were beating their gums at the corner bar one day. Jokes were getting rougher, and the targets all were gay. One of the fellas had a bracelet that read WWJD. Wondered what would Jesus do, so I thought I'd go and see. I reckoned it was liable to be there in the Bible. Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, here is what I came upon. Here's a little song with everything Jesus ever said about homosexuality. Here's a little song with everything Jesus ever said about being gay. He said, then he said, and don't forget. And he said, then he said, and of course he said, and he said. Oh, I'm going to get letters. As I was trying to follow all the football games today, because I am a guy, the one thing I kept thinking is, what we need is baseball. So someone requested this. They wrote it on a $20 bill, so I'm really happy to honor it. I'm still waiting for the request on the title of the Tesla Model 3. This is a true story. I know because I saw it on television. And the internet. And also because I've met this young woman. And like all my baseball songs, it's not really about baseball. Ellensburg, Washington, the sun shone so bright. Beautiful day for a game. When Sarah Tukolsky stepped up to the plate, she knew she would never be the same. It was senior day, and in all her 4 seasons, she'd had no worse year than this one. Batting under 100, she knew at month's end that her softball career would be done. Oh, she looked at a strike, she looked at the sky. She thought how she'd miss playing ball. She took a deep breath and swung for life or death. Sent the next pitch right over the wall. Sarah Tukolsky sprinted for first. She'd never once hit a home run. But halfway to second, her left knee gave out, and in an instant her season was done. She lay in the base pad, writhing in pain. The dirt and the tears stained her face. She knew that her run could not be recorded until she had touched every base. So she looked to her teammates, she looked to her coach, but the ump said the rules are quite clear. No one from Western's allowed to assist her, and above her a strange voice said, "Here." Mallory Holtman played first base for Central. She reached out her hand to the ground. All those rules don't say nothing about your opponents. Get up and I'll get you around. So with her teammate Liz Wallace, Mallory Holtman picked Sarah right up like a feather. They carried her around till she touched every base. The 3 girls crossed home plate together. Thus, Sarah Tukolsky got her home run, though she didn't do it alone. Sometimes help comes from where you least expect it and carries you all the way home. In Ellensburg, Washington, the sun shone so bright. A beautiful day for a game. Thank you. Well, some of you who were here last year may remember that I had two banjos with me last year. A funky old minstrel banjo and this baby back here. And it was because I had had hand surgery and I could not play the fiddle. I mean, I could have played it, but I love you all too much to have done that to you. So this last summer, because I don't know any better, I had a second round of hand surgery to repair the first. And it was a wonderful, humbling experience to have to go back and try to learn to play the fiddle from scratch. Because I had to hold the bow completely different and opposite. But I love playing the fiddle, so, I mean, I don't love you that much. Thank you. Well, back when I was 19 years old, I hoodwinked, I bamboozled, I hornswoggled, my college advisor into let me do a 3-month independent study, hitchhiking around the Appalachians and meeting banjo players. It's a 3-month independent study I'm still on 52 years later. And one of the things I did is I recorded a lot of these men and women who were kind enough to take me into their homes and their lives and teach me everything I know. And one such person was a banjo player named Currence Hammonds. He lived in Mill Creek, West Virginia. And the banjo, I thought, was the least interesting thing he did. He was an incredible storyteller. I mean, he could make a trip to the drugstore epic. But he was also one of the best ballad singers I ever heard. So this is something I learned from him. It's a Civil War ballad. You know, in every war, there are the designated combatants. And then in every war, there are groups of men, and they're always men, who are simply outlaws, who are taking advantage of the chaos of the situation for their own ends and betterment. And those of you who read the book Cold Mountain know what I'm talking about. And so this is a song from that era about that. It's called Hiram Herbert. It's a sad and mournful story. The truth to you I'll tell. It's a sad and mournful story. The truth to you I'll tell. Concerning Hiram Herbert and how he came and fell. While traveling through this country in sorrow and distress, traveling through this country in sorrow and distress, the rebels fell upon him, and in chains they bound him fast. Oh, they marched him up the harbor, and they marched him down the hill, marched him up the holler, and they marched him down the hill, down to the Cumberland River, where he begged for to right his will. Goodbye, kind friends and neighbors, likewise my little child. Goodbye, kind friends and neighbors, likewise my little child. I never hurt nobody, and now I'm bound to die. Oh, they wrapped the cords around him, and they tied him to a tree. Wrapped the cords around him, and they tied him to a tree. 11 bulls went through him, and then he sank away. Hiram Herbert was not guilty, I've heard great many say. Herbert was not guilty, I've heard great many say. He was not in this country, he was 90 miles away. Excuse me? You'll be glad I did this. Whoa. What is this? Oh, that's the wrong one. There's so many strings, and the pins all look alike. You know? I met Quay Smathers at the Folk Festival of the Smokies in 1972. He was there with his family band. Quay was the first person I'd ever seen who, besides Doc Watson, who played a Gallagher guitar. He was there with his daughter Liz, who was a wonderful fiddle player. His daughter June played the banjo, and his daughter Cynthia played the bass. And they were some of the greatest people I'd ever met. And many was the weekend that I would spend over in Dutch Cove with them at their home, right outside of Canton, North Carolina. What I did not know about Quay for a long time is that he was an old singing school teacher. He taught the old shape note singing. And this is, in 5 nights, a singing school teacher can teach a group of musically illiterate people how to sight read 4-part harmony. And it's really astonishing and beautiful. Quay invited me to the Old Folks' Day singing at the Morning Star Methodist Church there in Dutch Cove. And being as it was my first singing, he sat me next to Uncle Bruz Smathers, who he said was the best shape note singer in North Carolina. Uncle Bruz was 92 years old. And it being a warm afternoon, and we had a big potluck, a big covered dish dinner, Uncle Bruz promptly fell asleep. But he woke with a start when they announced number 339. He sat bolt upright, elbowed me in the ribs, and leaned over and says, "This is the best one." And it was. His voice as the sound of the dulcimer sweet is heard through the shadows of death. The cedars of Lebanon bow at his feet. The air is perfumed with his breath. His lips as the fountain of righteousness flow that waters the garden of grace, from which their salvation the Gentiles shall know and bask in the smiles of his face. whose presence my soul takes delight, on whom in affliction I call. My comfort by day and my song in the night, my hope, my salvation, my all. Where dost thou at noontide resort with thy sheep to feed on the pastures of love? Say, why in the valley of death should I weep, or alone in the wilderness roam? His voice as the sound of the dulcimer sweet is heard through the shadows of death. Thank you. And finally, one more request. This is a piece. You know, in the early 1990s, I did a bunch of shows with John Prine, and John, at the end of every one of his songs, would announce the name of the song. And I thought, well, that's a really good idea. And I tried it, and then I decided I didn't want to do that because it's way more fun when I ask for requests just to see what people think the name of these songs are. So this is a piece I wrote as a classical piece, and just performed it with the Atlanta Pops Orchestra in a holiday show last month. And I wrote it after going on a whale watch. And I started off calling it Leviathan, but now the people have spoken. And the name of this song is now That Whale Song on the Hammered Dulcimer. Thank you. Though I live in Georgia now, but I lived most of my life in the Commonwealth of Virginia. And they have a wonderful organization there that puts on summertime concerts on courthouse greens. And I was lucky enough that I got to do that a lot. They'd pull a flatbed truck in front of the county courthouse, and people would come, and they'd pay the princely sum of $2 to come to this, and the whole town would come. They put out their blankets and their little lawn chairs, and they'd eat the cold fried chicken and potato salad and sweet tea, and it was so much fun. And you have to really like people to do these things, because there is no backstage area. There is no dressing room, no. And the place that I enjoyed the most was Winchester, Virginia. Played there almost every year. Now, Winchester is known for two things. It's the apple capital of Virginia, and it is the home of Patsy Cline. Both things to be proud of in my book. And so when I would dismount that stage at the end of a show, I would be walking into the bosom of the citizenry of Winchester, Virginia. And it's kind of like when I come here, I've been there so often, I recognize people in the audience. And I also knew he would be there. He was a local preacher. By local, I mean his church is there. He is not a native to the Shenandoah Valley. No, I put his accent somewhere in South Alabama, where they have long vowels. And I love talking to this guy because you can tell he reads the thesaurus for pleasure. Last time I played there, he came up to me, he said, "John, I have been to your worldwide website, and I have discerned you do not have far to journey to your next engagement. I have also obtained the name of the hotel in which you are residing tonight." Kind of creepy. "So I have taken the liberty of arranging a luncheon appointment for you. I will pick you up at noon." I said, "Well, okay. Might you tell me with whom I might be dining?" He said, "Oh, I could, but I prefer not. But I guarantee you will be pleased." A guy who talks like that is prompt. He showed up in front of my hotel exactly at midday, driving one of those old late 70s Lincoln Continentals, you know, those big old land yachts. Kind of car you might as well just pump the gas directly onto the ground. I boarded the starboard side of that thing, and he pointed the bow north on Interstate 81. Now, those of you who know your geography know there is not a whole lot of the Commonwealth of Virginia north of Winchester. So we quickly passed into the great state of West Virginia, took exit 3, which, as you all know, is Harper's Ferry, Charlestown, and Shepherdstown. We took the fork toward Charlestown. Drove a couple of miles, turned up a little gravel drive, and parked in front of one of the prettiest little farmhouses you ever saw. And there to greet us at his garden gate was a gentleman by the name of Frank Buckles. Frank died about 7 years ago at the age of 110. He was the oldest and last World War I veteran in this country. I met him at the spry young age of 107. He was a little short guy, and I shook his hand and I said, "Mr. Buckles, it is an honor to meet you. I've heard so much about you." He said, "Yeah, I've heard about you too." I went to walk in the house. He said, "Oh, no, you don't. I know you've got a guitar in that car there. I've heard about that song. I never have heard that song. I sure would like to hear that song." So I sang him that song, this song. after which he regaled me with an afternoon of his adventures in World War I. He was born in southwestern Missouri, and when he was just a small boy, his parents moved across the border into southeastern Oklahoma. At age 15, like so many young men of those days, he went down to the courthouse, lied about his age, and enlisted in the army. They shipped him to Europe, where he served under General Pershing, a man he greatly admired, not only for his battlefield acumen, but also for his sense of style and fashion. So much so, in fact, that when Pershing called a surprise inspection of his troops, he came upon the young Private Buckles dressed exactly like him. Buckles was pressed into service then to be Pershing's driver, and I understand they cut quite a sight. It didn't last very long because it was quickly discovered that Buckles was not old enough to have a driver's license. And in the kind of logic that reigns only in the battlefield, and I'm not making this up, he was then reassigned to be an ambulance driver. At war's end, it was the proverbial, how are you going to keep him down on the farm? And he could not imagine returning to rural Oklahoma after what he had seen and done. So he traveled the world. He worked for shipping companies. He lived in South America for years. He was working in the Philippines in 1942 when the Japanese invaded, and spent the balance of that war as a civilian POW. But ever the fashion-conscious guy, on the first day of his internment, he took his last set of clean and pressed clothes, wrapped them in plastic, and buried them under his bunk, so that when the camp was liberated in 1944, he was the lone POW to greet the incoming GIs in clean and pressed clothes. He walked me to the car at the end of our trip, and he said, "You know, McCutcheon, you got some stuff wrong in that song." I said, "I don't doubt that." He said, "My God, man, didn't you do any research?" I said, "No. I mean, I just heard the story, and I knew I had to write the songs. I made the guy's name up where he was from, but everything else that in the song happened. But no, I didn't really do any research." He said, "Well, I didn't think so. You need to know there was no gas in 1914. Didn't come till 15. Trust me, I know." Duly noted. "You gonna change the song?" "Nah, I didn't think so." He said, "The biggest mistake you make is you make it sound like it only happened once." "Well, my name is Francis Tolliver. I come from Liverpool. 2 years ago, the war was waiting for me after school. To Belgium and to Flanders, to Germany to here, I fought for king and country I loved dear. It's Christmas in the trenches where the frost so bitter hung. The frozen fields of France were still, no Christmas songs were sung. Our families back in England were toasting us that day, their brave and glorious lads so far away. Well, I was lying with my messmates on the cold and rocky ground when across the lines of battle came a most peculiar sound. Says, "Aye, now listen up, me boys," each soldier strained to hear, as one young German voice sang out so clear. Singing bloody well, you know, my partner says to me. Soon one by one each German voice joined in harmony. The cannons rested silent, the gas clouds rolled no more, as Christmas brought us respite from the war. Well, as soon as they were finished and the reverent pause was spent, God rest ye merry gentlemen, struck up some lads from Kent. The next they sang was Stille Nacht, 'tis silent night, says I, and in two tongues one song filled up that sky. Someone coming towards us frontline sentry cried. All sights were fixed on one lone figure trudging from their side. His truce flag like a Christmas star shone on that plain so bright as he bravely strode unarmed into the night. Soon one by one on either side walked into no man's land. With neither gun nor bayonet, we met there hand to hand. We shared some secret brandy, and we wished each other well. And in a flare-lit soccer game, we gave 'em hell. Trading chocolates, cigarettes, and photographs from home. These sons and fathers far away from families of their own. Young Sanders played his squeeze box. They had a violin. This curious and unlikely band of men. Soon daylight stole upon us. France was France once more. With sad farewells, we each began to settle back to war. The question haunted every heart that beat that wondrous night. Whose family have I fixed within my sights? 'Twas Christmas in the trenches, where the frost so bitter hung. Frozen fields of France were warmed as songs of peace were sung. The walls they'd kept between us to exact the work of war had been crumbled, gone forevermore. My name is Francis Tolliver, Liverpool I dwell. Each Christmas come since World War I, learned its lessons well. But the ones who call the shots won't be among the dead and lame, and on each end of the rifle we're the same. Thank you. So happy to be here with you. Thank you for sticking with me. I just looked down at the clock and thought, I must be being paid by the hour. I was just having a good time, and I had a 4-hour drive from Bakersfield today. And I had a blast down there, but I guess I just felt like playing a bunch of music for y'all. So, I want to point out, at the risk of overstating the obvious, that I was only one of many workers who had a job to do here tonight, and I had the best job. I didn't have to set up a single chair, didn't have to work in the kitchen, I didn't have to sell tickets or CDs, and I didn't have to cook any of the food, and I know I'm not going to have to clean up after y'all. But there are people who did do this, who ran the sound and the lights, and will make this place look like nothing happened here tonight. And these are people who do this every time we have a gathering. They show up early, they stay late, they do all the heavy lifting, and they sit out there in the dark and they watch one guy get all your appreciation. Please join me in thanking all the people that made this happen. And I will be around for a little while afterwards to visit with you and thank you personally, and sign your CDs and books if you're into that sort of thing. Normally, when I'm playing someplace, I can say, I don't really have any idea when I might be next in your neighborhood, but I have a pretty good idea we might get together next year. So until then, when Tom Paxton and I do shows together, we did a bunch this last fall, and it was right after October 7th, when we felt like the whole world was exploding. And we decided to close the show. We wanted to choose a song that neither one of us had written. And I thought back to this gig I had for many years in Arizona at a VFW hall. There was a guy there who would bring me in there every Veterans Day. And he'd say every year, I'll hire you if you sing Christmas in the Trenches. And then he would get up at the end, and he would always want me to sing this song. And I said, well, this is a pretty unusual song. He was an old Vietnam vet. I said, I'm kind of surprised you want to sing this song. He said, are you crazy? This song is every veteran's dream. Last night I had the strangest dream I never dreamed before. I dreamed the world had all agreed to put an end to war. I dreamed I saw a mighty room filled with women and men, and the papers they were signing said they'd never fight again. And when the paper was all signed and 1,000,000 copies made, they all joined hands, bowed their heads, grateful prayers were prayed. And the people in the streets below dancing round and round, and guns and swords and uniforms they scattered on the ground. It's easy. Last night I had the strangest dream. Last night I had the strain I never dreamed before. I never dreamed the world had all agreed. I dreamed the world had all to put an end to war. Dreamed I saw a mighty room. Dreamed I saw a mighty filled with women and men, filled with women. And the paper they were signing said, paper they were signing, they'd never fight again, they'd never fight. When the paper was all signed, and when the paper was, and 1,000,000,000 copies made, 1,000,000,000 copies, we all joined hands, we all bowed our heads and vowed grateful prayers, and grateful prayers were, and the people in the streets below, and the people in the streets were dancing round and round, dancing round, and guns and swords and uniforms, guns and swords, and they scattered on the ground. Thank you so much. Thank you, Walnut Creek. Thank you. Okay. I know one more song. I mean, it's not like I haven't done a bunch of music for you tonight, for crying out loud. Actually, I'm getting paid by the note. Let me see. I know. I'm going to sing a Steve Earle song. I've never sung a Steve Earle song before. I mean, Steve's great. And it's kind of like with Emma's Revolution, you know. We see one another at festivals, or once I saw him on an airplane, and I fly a lot. Steve flies a lot, so every now and again we're lucky enough to get an upgrade. So I'm walking into the first class cabin, and there's Steve sitting there, and he goes, "Oh, am I glad to see you." Now, I will not be the only person that everybody else in this cabin looks at and says, "He don't belong here." Last time I saw him, we were at a festival together in Australia a few years back. And he was there with his band, and I was there with my not band. And we were talking backstage after his show, and I said, "Man, I am so glad you're still doing that song 20 years after it was released, and it's not like it was a big hit for you or anything. I love that song, and I'm so glad you're doing it." He says, "I'm going to keep singing that song until I die, or until it comes true, whichever comes first." He says, "You know, I get a lot of grief for this song because people say, oh, what you're singing about is ridiculous. It's impossible." I said, "Yeah, I get that too. And I have always figured that the empirical evidence will always be on the side of the pessimist. But that is a lousy way to live. And if I've learned anything in my 71 years, over and over I've come to understand that the impossible just takes a little time." Woke up this morning, none of the news was good. Death machines were rumbling across the ground where Jesus stood. Man on my TV told me it had always been that way. There was nothing anyone could do or say. And I almost listened to him, and I almost lost my mind, but came to my senses again. Looked into my heart to find that I believe that one fine day all the children of Abraham will lay down their swords forever in Jerusalem. Maybe I'm just a dreamer, or maybe I'm just a fool, but I don't remember learning how to hate in Sunday school. Then one day I went astray, and I never looked back again. I still find some comfort now and then. The storms come rumbling in, I can't lay me down. Drums are drumming again, I can't stand the sound. I believe that one fine day, a lion together in Jerusalem. And there'll be no barricades then. There'll be no wires nor walls. We'll wash this blood from our hands and this hatred from our souls. 'Cause I believe that one fine day, Lion and the Lamb will lay down in peace together in Jerusalem. I believe that one fine day, all the children of Abraham will lay down their swords forever in Jerusalem. Thank you so much. Emma's Revolution.